Hey, hello again, everyone. I'm Marty Walzer, otherwise known as the Raging Owlbear on social media. You can find my blog at ragingowlbear.blogspot.com, or if you just Google Raging Owlbear, it'll probably come up. And we're talking Storm King's Thunder. This is episode 3 of my ongoing series, and I have to give myself a little pat on the back because I have actually gone 3 weeks where I've been able to record something each week. That probably won't happen forever. I have small children and my life is pretty hectic. So sometimes getting in a video blog is not always easy to squeeze in, but here I am. Episode 3. So tonight we're going to talk. I'm going to start out with, like I did with episode 2, start out with more generalized DM tips that don't delve into the Storm King's Thunder adventure. Just sort of, tips for anybody who's running their game and happens to be watching this. And then the second half, I'll kind of get more into the Storm King's Thunder. That's a big mouthful. Specific content and talking about, how to manage certain aspects of running the adventure. So I'm going to start out talking a little bit about I'm going to touch on miniatures again because I went to the discount stores and I found some cool things. So I'm going to touch upon finding some items out there, not just D&D miniatures, but other things you can use to enhance the game. Talk a little bit about player visuals and handouts and other things that you can kind of help with immersion. I wrote an article on the blog, and I'm just going to touch upon it about legacy weapons and basically how you can have a low magic campaign, but still have the players get improved items, so to speak, as they level up without having to still hand out a lot of magic if you like a lower magic campaign. And if I have time, I'm going to get into the Goldenfields and Triboar specifically, and running large combats related to those particular encounters, but also, Storm King's Thunder has a lot of encounter areas that are just, massively huge. And, you could have a 6-foot long dinner table or 7-foot long dinner table. And some of them, that's like one room because everything's giant sized. So we'll get into that a little bit more. All right, so let's just jump right in to the sort of non-Storm King content, but it does relate. It's I like to run out to some of the discount stores. We have there's a Dollar Tree and a Five Below, and there's like a Ross discount outlet place, and there's a couple other places not too far from where I work. So sometimes at lunch I run out just to see if anything's hit the shelves. And today I struck pay dirt. I mean, in a big way. Let me grab the box here. It's just right here. So I'm always looking for things that could stand in for terrain or other visual aids that I might get, and or figures, miniatures, other things that I could use in the game. And I came across this beauty here. Actually, it's empty at the moment because I took her out already. But if you look at the lovely price tag, bring it in there real close. 99 cents for our lovely Diana of Thermopylae, or whatever the heck the name of the island is. So 6-inch action figure Wonder Woman, DC Universe line, 99 cents. 99 cents. I was really happy when I spotted this. I was like, woohoo! I've got a Princess Sarissa, or any number of the giants, but this could be my Sarissa figure. There actually was another, there was a Tyrion figure, but it was $5, a little bit discounted though. It's normally like a $8 to $10 figure, $5 for little Tyrion Lannister, He's about to repay his debts, whatever. But the nice thing is that, of course, he is Tyrion, so he's a little shorter, but he's actually still pretty. He's pretty appropriately sized. I know you can't really see very well, but he is still in the giant size scale, even though he's shorter than the Diana, than the 6-inch figure. He's nearly as tall as the Storm King Thunder, the Assault of the Giants style D&D miniatures. So, he could just be a stouter version of a giant or whatnot. Fire giant size, whatever you need. So that's really nice. And actually, I've had this other figure that I got actually several months back. Found him online, the sort of Aquaman figure with the little tribal tattoos. And so, of course, he fits perfectly with Diana. Actually, she's a little bit taller than him. But, more storm giants. I'm probably going to use this guy as the head of the guard in the Maelstrom area or whatever. And this is going to be Sarissa and whatnot. And again, they're just right in line with this is the of course is the Cloud Giant figure from the D&D miniatures as well. They're a little bit bigger, so they're perfect for storm giant size. I was really happy to find both of these. This guy, when I found him at the time, was only about $5.50 or thereabouts. Now he's running about $9-10 on Amazon. You can still get him. There's another version of him that actually has the full orange and day glow green tights. And that runs about $7, but would definitely need some painting. I mean, maybe your players don't care. They can be like, "Ooh, Aquaman," but he doesn't have the tribal tattoos. He's wearing the orange shirt. He's wearing the green pants, but pretty much same head, same trident, which is pretty cool. So, yeah, look for these. I'm going to put some links, if you want to the Amazon figures, because these guys are also still available via Amazon, but not at the low price that I've found them at. But, probably lower than buying some of the official D&D minis. I mean, Hikatan is going for, what, $50 online? Harshnag is ridiculously expensive. So, action figures. Go out to the discount stores, look for action figures. Sometimes the Star Wars action figures, if they're not too sci-fi, can be smaller giants, can be some of the smaller giants. Those again are the 6-inch. These are the 6-inch DC Universe figures. So if you see some of those guys on sale, they might work for your Storm King Thunder game. Your players won't care that much if they're just a little bit different. Put them on a base and you're good to go. And if you want to, you can do a little repainting. So I was really, really, really pleased with my dollar store finds today. And as I already mentioned on the earlier video cast, there are still some, although the place I was at, I took the last 3 rolls of the Christmas paper, because the Christmas paper has the 1-inch grid on the back. Most of them do. You don't have to look, but the ones at Dollar Tree did. They have the 1-inch grid. I found the last 3 Christmas rolls on discount. However, I did notice in the birthday section, some of the birthday rolls also have the 1-inch grid. So good news. They'll be there all year round. They're going to be a whole $1 rather than 50 cents. I got mine for like 50 cents. You're going to have to pay a whole $1 for your gridded map paper. So, but yeah, you need a big roll of gridded map paper. I mean, when I say big, it's either 30 inches or 40 inches wide, depending upon the roll. And then it'll be 6 feet long. The 40-inch ones I've seen were about 6 feet long. So that's a pretty big map. And for Storm King's Thunder, sometimes you need that big a map for one of the bigger encounter rooms. If you're fighting Imrith, if you're fighting, the Eye of the Allfather, or whatever. Point is that you can draw a big old map that takes up your entire table. I'm using that 40-inch map now actually to draw Grudd Haug, because I used gaming paper before, and gaming paper was only 30 inches wide. And Grudd Haug is big. And so I kind of scaled Grudd Haug down, drew it on a big piece of gaming paper. Actually, let me grab it. It's right here. So I started drawing the top level Grudd Haug. On the gaming paper, you know, the main hall. But as you can see, this is significantly smaller than what appears in the book. Because I had to sort of scale it down to sort of fit. And I drew it up and I was okay with it. I was like, you know, that's fine. I can run the encounter in a slightly more constrained area. Maybe it'll actually be better because it'll be busy, you know, lots of giants. The players will be engaged right away. So, you know, I was like, maybe I don't care. But you know what? As when I got the bigger gaming paper, I was like, I'm going to try again. So I'm drawing it up again, although I may not have it done because I think they're going to get there this week. I'm trying to prep for Grudd Haug. I only have a few days left, so I'm going to quickly try to sketch it out tomorrow. And it's the map is, so I'm doing the upper level and I'm doing it pretty much to scale. You know, the 200-foot wide great halls, you know, and the whole length of the entire building is like 350 feet or more. So I've got like this 6-foot sheet of gaming paper, and the starts on one end and goes all the way to there. Like it fills the entire piece of paper, 40 inches wide, 6 feet long. And I'm doing the upper story, and I don't think I'm going to have time to do the lower story. And I'm guessing if I don't get around to doing the lower story, that's exactly how my characters will try to go in. How my players, they'll try to see that little side entrance or something, you know, as I give them some visuals of Grudd Haug. And they'll be like, hey, what's that little cave over there? Maybe we should check that out. And of course they'll go in the bottom, and then I'll be like, all right, yeah. So I've got a couple days left to try to do that. Let's see, today's Tuesday as I'm recording this, Tuesday night, but the night's over. I got to go to bed after this. I'm dead tired and it's late. I'll have Wednesday night to finish up the first story. Maybe I can get the second, maybe I can get the basement, or at least parts of it, maybe the main rooms in the basement done on Thursday with some quick magic markers. And but I'm a little bit bummed because I bought all this great paper for, you know, the Christmas wrapping paper, and Grudd Haug alone is going to use up 2 rolls because those little 50-cent rolls are only 6 feet long. You don't get a whole lot for your 50 cents, but you know, it's 50 cents. So how can you complain? Anyways, so I'm redrawing that now. Now let's see here before we get too deep in that. Okay, so action figures. Oh yeah, another thing is I also every once in a while just troll eBay for ideas, and you know, I was watching the Disorganized Play podcast by Tom Lommel on Storm King's Thunder also, and he had a couple ideas, and so I went out to eBay because I was like, "Ooh, I like that idea," and I'm gonna just play around. So I picked up a couple of the McFarlane figurines, which actually ended up being almost a little bit too big, but they're cool looking. And one was this spiky demon thing. You know, he's pretty badass. And then another was, and then this was a lot. These two were sold together. This big black demon dude that looks a little bit like Alien, like one of the Alien figurines, but you know, also more demonic and D&D-esque. So these are from McFarlane stuff. And yeah, so this was like a $12, you know, pickup. And I wanted to use this guy in particular. I was actually looking for this one. And then this one was just kind of like a bone. I was like, oh, $12 for the both of them. Yeah, sure, why not? And I think that even included shipping. So, and I think I'm gonna try to bring this guy back after they get through after they get to the Storm King Thunder thing. I had another side quest at the beginning of the campaign that involved the plane of shadow encroaching on part of the land, and this would be a good shadow demon thing that would break through from the other side when they're higher level. You know, if we end up playing out the end game for this, some of that high level stuff could be fun. I want to throw a shadow dragon at them later after they get through Storm King's Thunder. So, you know, this could be one of its minions. But these things, that's the other thing. These McFarlane figures were huge. I did use Spiky Back Boy here. I put him after the Triboar encounter. I borrowed another idea from Tom Lommel about a cave encounter with a Catobolepus in it. And this was a figure that I think he used. And so I got it also. I threw that bad boy down the table, and those guys were like, what the hell is that? And it's big. I mean, it's really big in comparison to I don't have a 25. Oh, yep, here's one. Compared to a 25 mil, you know, 1-inch figure. And I wanted a huge mini, like in D&D terms, huge size, so larger than large, 3x3, whatever, 15 foot. And this guy is more like gargantuan. So I put him out there for the visual effect of it. I said, you guys are fighting this thing. And they're like, wow, whoa, that's big, that's huge. And I said, but I ended up pulling off another huge mini that I had on the shelf to represent him. I had him kind of on the side, just menacing, but I used a smaller mini on the battle mat itself because he was just too big. And you know, I don't know. I just wanted something that was a little bit more to scale on the board. And so I ended up not actually using him in the battle, just more using him as a visual presentation. But, you know, he's pretty badass. I might use him again a future date, you know, as a different thing. So, you know, that was actually, I'm going to talk about that when I talk about the Triboar stuff. I don't think I'm going to get to Triboar actually tonight. I'm probably going to stop with Goldenfields because it's already getting late. Okay, so yeah, that got the sort of the Dollar Tree stuff and the discount bin stuff. You know, keep an eye out for go to the toy clearances. You know, when you know that you see there's a lot of clearance at Target or Walmart, stuff like that. But especially go to the Dollar Trees, and the Five Belows are good too, because you never know what you might come in. You know, 99-cent Wonder Woman, well worth it. That was definitely worth the trip. And the Tyrion was good too. I mean, you know, he was only $5. I would have liked to spend like $2.50 or something, and $3 on him, but you know, $5 for what's essentially another smaller giant, I'm good with that. So player visuals, getting back to that. So yeah, you know, I was drawing that big Grudd Haug map. So when that thing comes out, they're gonna be like, wow, okay, this is go time. But there's lots of other little things that I try to do to create interest in the campaign, to get them a little bit more, or I should say, less passive to my just blah information, to the, you know, lore and other stuff. I want to hook them in with visuals that will make them, you know, go, oh, that's kind of cool, and see. So one of the things I did is I got those I had some of those binders, those baseball card style binder things, and I made NPC, you know, made little NPC slots so that I could take scans out of the book. You know, my wife has a multifunction printer, which is awesome because I can scan stuff and then, you know, print it up. I print it in black and white because the color ink, you know, it's pretty expensive. Anyways, or you can, you know, if you're lucky enough to be able to print it work, go for it. But yeah, you know, these good just because it puts, you know, it puts a face to the name. It makes the NPC a little bit more memorable. They're in the book. Show them to the players. But the nice thing about doing this is that just showing them the book, they see it once, they see it twice maybe, and then it's kind of gone. That visual is gone. But these little pages, you know, I've got, I don't have them on this particular page, but, you know, you put the name on it. You say, hey, this is so and so. You put his name, put his location, and that way, they have some memory of that NPC. And especially if you're going to bring them back, you want to make sure that they're like, hey, I remember that guy. Yeah, and then you say this so and so was at Goldenfields or Triboar or Fallcrest. If you're playing into your Ville like I am. I also have. I don't have them handy. Oh wait, give me 1 second. I'm gonna grab those too. So unfortunately, these are getting pretty expensive to find because most of them are out of print. But Pathfinder cards, Pathfinder Society cards. This particular set is actually pretty expensive, but because a lot of the Pathfinder cards now are creatures and stuff like that, not just NPCs. But this is a really nice visual aid. These were cards made for Pathfinder Society, and they put out cards for specific adventure paths in Pathfinder, and some of them are human, some are non-human, and so some of the packs are better than others. But this one was great because this is all non-monster NPCs, well, except for like one or two dudes who look a little bit weird. But just hey, here's the Baron. You slot him into your thing. Boom. They got an NPC. The Pathfinder cards too for the particular NPC that this is in Pathfinder Society in the adventure paths, they tell you who it is and give them a couple of personality traits too. But what you can do is you could, if you want, write your own notes about who the person is. But yeah, I mean these are pretty cool. So lots of different styles of clothing and various ethnicities as well. And there are some of the fairer sex in here too, which I also use. See this lady, she's a bit pale, so she might be a little bit of a giveaway of like maybe she's undead or something. I don't know. You got to be a little careful, but something. We got this gal here, and a lot of people with spiky things coming out of their hair for some reason. The ladies love giant knitting needles, apparently in Pathfinder Society. But it's nice. There's a lot of variety. Some of the guys look really sketchy, and some of them just kind of look goofy. Oh, he seems like a pretty nice guy. He's just an old dude, and he's kind of funny looking, and sort of a femme fatale kind of. So yeah, these Pathfinder cards, even some very barbarian looking dudes. These are great. I love these. I try to, if I'm going to introduce an NPC and there isn't a picture in the book that I can utilize, then I try to look through these and find somebody that seems appropriate. So, yeah, these Pathfinder cards, like I said, this one is the Pathfinder Society face cards. This particular deck is pretty hard to find and expensive when you do it because it's out of print. But if you look out on the Paizo site or on Amazon, you might see some of the others. And it might be worth spending a few bucks to see if there's some decent pictures, and you can always go out to Google and, grab random art pics off of DeviantArt and whatnot and use those for NPCs. So you can do what you can, don't sell them, fair use, whatever. I don't know. The legality is a little gray, but I've got the cards. So, and I own the book, so I'm just making copies for my own personal use. So it's NPCs, but the other thing is, so those are good because again, it puts the face to the name, makes that NPC more memorable. You give them a couple of traits, something that, some little personality traits and quirks, so that really sort of cements that person into their brain. And you can really create a good, memorable role-playing moment. And that person, especially in Storm King's Thunder, so many of the NPCs come in, interact with the characters for like 10 minutes of game time tops, and then they're gone, never to be seen again. And I'm trying to change some of that. I know you travel all over the place in Storm King's Thunder, so it's a little bit hard to reintroduce NPCs unless they keep going back to a particular city. So I'm trying to create allies that'll anchor them to certain points on the map. So if they say, "Hey, I need something," well, hey, we can talk to Maxine. We met her in Goldenfields, but she's now back in Fallcrest, or because again, I'm not doing Sword Coast. I'm mixed in Nentier Vale stuff into my game. But they know where that person is, sort of their personal home or base of operations. So if they need something from that NPC, and I tried to make them memorable and create some sort of relationship with the party, then that's good, because then they can look at their sheet. They'll be like, "Oh yeah, so and so lives over there. Maybe they might have a lead for us. Let's go talk to them." I'm trying to create those kinds of moments so that these NPCs that normally would be in and out and gone forever become a part of their characters' lives and become a little bit more important than just a name in a book that gets lost forever. So yeah, NPCs. I'm also creating other handouts. This was a little kind of a map, a beat up map that was related to the adventure I talked about the other week. This is the edge of the Evermoors, and Calling Horns is down here, and the adventure's out here, and they're given this little map, this quick sketch by the person that wants them to go investigate the Lizardmen tribe. And this is actually, whoops, holding it upside down. But this was actually in the adventure. So, I scanned it, photoshopped it a little bit. I had to change a couple of the labels on it. So I use GIMP, which is the freeware sort of version of Photoshop. And so I tweaked it a little bit to match the changes that I needed on the map, but they're very minor changes. And boom, I've got a nice little handout to give the players that makes that adventure a little bit more memorable. They have it in a stack of maps and stuff like that. So like they're actually getting maps, and I've started to do a thing when they went to Yartar. They sought out a map maker and they said, "Hey, we want to buy some more maps." And so, yeah, I was like, "Oh, great. Yeah, I can do that." And so I actually had a couple maps that I was using, and that was kind of a cool thing. I didn't just give them a map right off the bat. I showed them a map. I didn't give it to them because I wanted them to be like, get their own map, because they're going to be wandering all around. They should know where they're going. So they went to a store and they went to a cartographer and was like, "Hey, do you have a map of the area?" And sure enough, that created a new NPC ally, an anchor in that particular in Yartar. I had prepped a couple things. I found this really cool map of Nentier Vale, because I'm playing not on the Sword Coast. I'm playing in Nentier Vale and adapting Storm King's Thunder to my sort of homebrew version of Nentier Vale. And I found this really awesome map that somebody made on the net. They kind of made a Lord of the Rings-esque version of Nentier Vale, and I had to add some locations onto it. So again, I got into GIMP and I worked it. And I tried to make it look not obvious where I made changes. And I actually thought I did a pretty good job of it. But I could try to, I think I have it on a screen share. I could try screen share, but I'll just hold it up for the moment. So I added some more towns, added a few more trails, changed a couple of the names from the existing locations to new locations. I found a font that was basically the exact same font, a freeware version of or probably even the same font that whoever made this online. The other thing I did is I went out to, there's a map site called Incarnate where you can build your own maps. It has, you know, mountains and trees, and so you can build a little landmass and you can add all kinds of detail onto it. So this is another part. This is actually a map of Nentier, only covers like the central area of the map, and they're actually going to be moving off the edges pretty soon. They're going to be up here and they're going to be over here, stuff like that. So what I did to make it seem more, you know, cool is, so they have this style of map, which, you know, is like cartography guy A, and then they're going to have this other map that I made with Incarnate of the coast, where this way, I don't know, of the coast that they'll have to go to, and, you know, now, and then I'm going to have a third piece that I'm working on. So they have all these maps that are not quite to scale, but you can kind of puzzle piece them together, but they're not all perfect scale. So it makes the world feel a little bit more, I'm hoping, realistic, because it's just like you would get maps in a medieval setting or a pseudo medieval setting where, yeah, scales are different and they're different artists, different cartographers. You're not just going around McDowelling getting this universal map of the whole thing that all looks the same. I have this pastiche of styles, of mapping styles that are put together, and so they can say, hey, well, I know, you know, this piece kind of goes over here or over here, whatever, and so they know roughly that this corner of the map corresponds with this part over here, and that they kind of overlap. And you know, I'm doing a map of the northern area too, so again, just trying to give them something physical. So they've been consulting it. They're moving around and they're planning their travels. They're looking at the map and they're saying, okay, this town's here, and this town's here. We can, you know, check out. We got some information about something going on over here, so we can go over here, and that's kind of on the way. And so they've been sort of traveling out, planning out all their little movements. Did another one, sort of a mini hex crawl of a forest that they had to sort of explore and figure out what the issue was. And so I had some of the basic stuff that they knew, the geographic features that they knew, but then they had to find the paths and go where they needed to go. And each session I would fill in the stuff that they had explored, sort of a little hex crawl in a way. And then, you know, I printed out Hamlet, which was their base of operations early on in the game. Hamlet, let's see. There it is. Sorry. So, you know, they knew they saw the village. They could ask what shops were there, what, you know, stuff like that. And that actually giving somebody the printout of, especially a smaller village, not necessarily a huge city, but giving them a printout of a small village, and putting, even if you only have the DM version of it, where, you know, as an example, Triboar, where you have the numbers, like there's a number here and a number there and stuff like that. You know, I might let them go ahead and see the numbers. I don't have the key on the map, but I might let them see the numbers, because they're coming into town and they're going to see the important structures. They're going to see the shops that have signs out front, or there's a proprietor maybe hanging around, or, you know, I don't need to make every town be, hey, we need to grab a local, and hey, where's the blacksmith? Hey, where's the thing? I give them a number map, and then I say, hey, you can talk to a farmer on the way in, or some random dude. And actually, sometimes I'll make it one of the NPCs that they're going to need to meet. Be like, oh yeah, you know, they introduce themselves. They say, yep, here's the inn, here's the tavern. Oh, you might want to go see, you know, so-and-so for your horse equipment. You know, if you need tack and bridle, whatever. And you might want to go see so-and-so if you need that. And so I introduce the town to them. I go ahead and let them look at a map that has some of the things marked on it. So, you know, and that's the other thing. You're depending upon the play style your group has, they may not necessarily be hardcore about asking a local, role-playing out the scene where they're asking, hey, where's the blacksmith shop? Where's the tavern? I mean, they'll always ask for the tavern or the inn, but they may not realize to ask for the blacksmith. They may not realize to ask for an alchemist. They may not realize that they need a tanner or something, so giving them a list of the prominent shops, either a keyed map or even just like a paper list of, here's the shops that are obvious as you're coming into town, and the names of all the shops that they're going to encounter, especially if they're going down the main avenue that has most of the commerce on it. You can say, hey, yeah, you see a Boyer Fletcher, you see a horse seller, whatever, stablery. You see the inn, you see the tavern, you see the blacksmith, yada yada yada. But that also lets you introduce, if there's an odd, something a little different, you can introduce that element too. And so they go, oh, hey, that's not something that you normally would mention. Oh, there's a cobbler, a candlestick maker. He says there's a candlestick maker. Maybe it means nothing, but maybe there's something going on with the candlestick maker. That's a little meta. And I don't try not to do that kind of stuff where it's like, you might want to talk to the candlestick maker. No, not unless they really, really need a hook. I mean, sometimes, you need to take the clue bat and you pop them upside the head just to keep the game moving. There's nothing wrong with feeding them a little bit of meta information to keep the game from stalling out. Because, again, you're here to have fun. Not everything needs to be a mystery. Milk the mysteries where they've grabbed onto them. But if there's something that they wouldn't just know or wouldn't be obvious to them, let them know what's going on, or not what's going on, but give them the information they might need to ask the right questions. They call it a clue bat for a reason. You bat them over the head with the clues until they figure out, hey, wait, there's an adventure hook here. I've gotten less subtle, I think, over the years, especially when your play time is constrained and you don't have a whole lot of time to waste on the players not really knowing where to go, what to do. It's like I want to maintain mystery where there is mystery to be found. But at the same time, if you're only playing 2 times a month or 3 times a month, if it's a good month, and you only get to play 3 hours during that time slot, so you're getting maybe 9 hours of gaming in 10, if you're lucky, 12 in a good month. As you get older and you have kids and that kind of thing happens. Yeah, don't try not to waste time.